and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be doing a review and sort of recap slash discussion of the 7 Deadly Sins chapter 293. This was an insane chapter for multiple reasons, and we're going to get into that. But before that, I will post a poll in the top right hand corner where you guys get to rate the chapter. I'm sure many of you will have opinions on this chapter because there was a major turn, major plot twist. So make sure to participate in the poll, and if you rate up there, or if you choose not to, please comment down below what you thought about it, what you're expecting, just all of that jazz, because I'm super excited to hear what you guys have to say about it. I will post on the screen the results of the poll from the last chapter that I reviewed, and with that out of the way, let's just get into the video. So, just to start off with the beginning, we should have known something was going to be happening along these lines just from the cover panel alone. And by the way, I'm going to be going like page by page and talking about it. If nothing's really important happening, I'll just skip the page. But this cover alone, I feel like it's tragic because it's a recall back to when Bond first lost Elaine. You can tell by the way he looks and her clothing. This is when the demon killed her the first time, so heavy start already. And then moving on, we have Bond returning and assuring Elizabeth that the captain will come back to her. I don't know, this looks so weird to me because it kind of, like, if you take away the context and you show this panel without the wording to somebody else, it looked like Bond was in love with Elizabeth, but I think he's just happy to be back because what happens later in the chapter. So that, but I just thought this looked a little too romantic for the two of them, but that was like strictly my opinion. Also, it is good to be seeing King, Deanne, Elizabeth, and Hawk back in the chapters again because we've been so focused on Zeldaris and Merlin and Escanor and all of them, and the original demon. I didn't even get to review that chapter, like, what? So hopefully we get back to them soon, but it's good to see these guys back again. And then moving on, we have that cool panel of Bond. Like, what do you guys think of his clothing? Speaking of his clothing, we did do a podcast on the Boar Hat. I will have a link to it in the description below. I am a featured creator on there, and we talked a little bit about his overall dress and how it compared to other ones. So again, if you like the 7 Deadly Sins, which if you're watching this video, you probably do, it would be great if you were to go check out the Boar Hat Podcast. It's great just to listen to while you're doing something else. And whoa, the people on there bring up such good ideas that I'm going to be mentioning throughout this video. So please go check it out. It's pretty amazing what they come up with. So moving on, we have freaking all of these demons. We have Matrona, and then just everyone's fighting. And I honestly, when I first read this, I didn't skip, okay, I didn't skip through, but I was like looking at it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm fighting, demons, giants, whatever. But then I realized this is the depiction of the modern day holy war. If we, like, okay, season 3 of the 7 Deadly Sins just came out, and if you pay attention to the beginning where the guy's like, this is a tale of ancient times, whatever, and it shows the demon clan, the goddess clan, giant clan, humans, and the fairies. That was completely out of order, but it's showing it right here. So we have Elaine the fairy, Matrona the giant, we have the humans as in like Hauser, and I think Gila's there, and then we have the I'm missing somebody, am I? I'm missing somebody, but anyways, you're seeing all these races come together to fight off the one enemy that is the demon clan, and it's super cool, and it's actually much more gruesome than you might have thought. Like, just the sheer amount of pain that's happening, like people getting squished, people getting stomped on, Gila getting wrecked right there with like laser beams. It's insane. Moving on to the next page, we have Elaine in her full fairy form, and I didn't even realize this when I read it because not a lot of time to like sit down and analyze the chapter, but that's why the Boar Hat is such a good thing, because people, like, the people on there pay attention to the smallest detail, and it's not till I'm hearing them talk about it that I'm like, how did I miss that? So anyways, Elaine's hair is a little bit longer when she's in her full fairy form. Of course, her wings are there, and she's a little bit more mature looking. Not by much, but by the end of the chapter, you'll see the difference, and I'll mention it again. But it is really interesting to see how she moves and how King and her are similar. When they get their power boost, they age a little bit more. Okay, and then Moving on. We have Matrona taking out so many freaking demons. Like, how many is that? Like, okay, I'm gonna try to count. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Freaking. I might be wrong, but I'm counting like 12 or 11. That's insane with just Earth Fang alone. Obviously, I don't know if she killed them all. I mean, those are pretty big spikes, so they probably took out all of their hearts at once. That is insane. Do you remember how hard it was just to take out one, like, red demon or one gray demon? That's... The power level that Matrona has is insane. And then she gets hurt in the next panel, but then we have, of course, Elaine coming in with Tempest Waterfalls. Okay, this is a perfect example of how she looks, and this is probably the most mature we're ever going to see Elaine be. For some reason, her movement right here, it just reflects a much older looking version of herself. It's not as childlike as she usually is. And look, I mean, I can't even count how many demons are in there. So every little black splotch is a demon. I don't really want to sit here and count all of them, but even if you look at the sheer size of these hurricanes or waterfalls, wow, I'm thinking Tempest Waterfalls. So maybe it is actually water cyclones, not just air. We were talking about that, how like she showed up Hauser, but if it's Tempest Waterfalls, then it's probably a water-based cyclone attack, not just a tornado. So that's really interesting, but just to count how many people she took out in that just one attack is insane. But of course it came at a price, because on the next page we see her wings start to fall off. And honestly, this panel too shows how different she looks in her fairy form. Her hair is much longer and she looks much more mature here rather than when she reverts back into her tiny little childlike form. And of course she's taken a lot of damage and used a lot of her magic power. So if you look at the difference between this panel and the panel right here, there's an obvious hair difference, of course, but there's other things as well. If you want to listen to the Boar Hat, you'll hear them talk about some things, something that I didn't notice as a woman, so there's that. And then we have the surge of demons here trying to take opportunity over Elaine, and of course, Bon coming to save the day with a swift movement of his hand. We had a debate if this was it like Fox Hunt, but it's like it's one of Bon's attacks. It's like Crazy Hunt or something like that. Personally, I think that this was a straight physical attack because it doesn't look like he's using like Hunt. He's not getting any bigger. It's not like he's increasing his magical power. It's literally just a fast physical attack that he took out all of these demons, which makes him that much more intimidating and strong. And I was super, super stoked when this happened because I was like, yes, he's a force to be reckoned with. He's immortal. He's super strong. And then we'll get to that. He catches Elaine in his arms, and I thought that this is so cute because I honestly thought that she was gonna die. Like right here, I was like, oh, she's dead. He came back finally, and she's gonna die. That's tragic. But this panel right here, I thought, you know, I was like, wow, is she really gonna die? Because this looks such of like a loving panel. So I was like, what's gonna happen? Like this is where I started getting confused, and for good reason. Because she's like, oh, Bon, you came back, and like she literally is dying. And she's like, I'm just glad that you wanted, or like you were here to say goodbye or whatever. And also more proof that she actually does change when she turns into her fairy form right here. She says, my body and wings reverted, so she's a little bit different, go figure. And then we have this. It's not the last time that we're gonna see each other. And Gift, where he resurrects Elaine finally after I think it was about 20 years. And everyone's just like, what the heck? Stop, Bon. If you use all your power from the Fountain of Youth, you won't be immortal any longer. And she comes back to life and you've lost your immortality. I don't care about that as long as I keep you by my side, and that was my promise. Someday I'll steal you away. The iconic line between the two of them, and then we see the most childish panel of Elaine I've ever seen. Honestly, I know that she's like thousands of years old, but when I saw this, it did make me feel a little bit weird because she looks very childish here, but I think it's just her being giddy and just so overwhelmingly happy that it's kind of like that young feeling of just euphoria and happiness. So you gotta give him that moment. It's been long awaited. Bond's gone through so much stuff just to get to this point. And then finally, you're mine for the rest of our lives. So that's that of the chapter. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about, what do you guys think of Bond being not an immortal anymore? Because honestly, I have a couple theories, and I did mention them on the Boar Hat. I know I've been mentioning it all over the place, but it's some of them were saying that he might have retained some essence of his immortality, or that his body has become extra strong because it's undergone so much damage throughout the years that it's like a Superman complex where his body is like stronger than a normal human's would be. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because if that were the case, even when he was immortal, you'd see his body be more resistant towards physical attacks, and that's not the case at all. A blade can pierce him, literally anything can pierce him. It's just it didn't phase him when he was immortal. So definitely any attack that's thrown at him now is gonna have him take damage, and it's been so long since he's been mortal that I don't think that he's gonna be well equipped to take it. And even though he's gotten a power boost, I don't think that he's gonna be as much as a threat as he used to be. And my theory is, well, I have 3 theories, so let's walk through them. At one point, I do think that he is going to forget that he's not immortal anymore. I feel like him and Elaine might split up, and she's not going to be there to remind him, or they're going to be in the midst of battle, and she's going to be like, wait, Bond, you're not immortal anymore. You can't, you can't do this to your body. Like, you're going to strain it too much, and he's going to get wounded in some way. So that's one of my theories, and then he's going to realize, like, oh, shoot, I need to be more careful with myself. Actually, I think I have 4. Yeah, 4 theories. 2, that he is going to retain some sort of immortality or power that's going to help his body be more adjusted towards being wounded, or that some kind of magic's going to come along the way that's going to help him regain some sort of immortality. Because we are also talking about, if he's no longer immortal and Elaine remains a fairy, she's going to continue not to age for thousands and thousands of years, whereas Bond is going to grow old, and he only has 50 years, and that's if he lives that long. If he lives to be, you know, about 70 years old, because he's 20, his body's 20 years old right now. So about 50 years, 70, you know, 50, 60 years. And, you know, Elaine's still probably going to look exactly like she does now. So there is no real happy ending if you think of the longer terms of it. But, I mean, what can we really do? 3, I think that, he might die. And I know that sounds really tragic, and it is, because Elaine's been dead this whole time, and he's been working so hard to get her back, and if he dies, what was the point of any of it? But I feel like Meliodas is going to come back different than he was, and he might be a threat to both sides, not only the commandments, but also his friends in the 7 deadly sins, and he's not going to know right from wrong. He's just going to come back as a powerhouse and want to take over anybody who stands in his way. And I feel like maybe the death of Bond, even if he kills Bond, is going to trigger something in his mind and make him emotional and bring back his emotions from deep within, and that's going to be what makes him return back to the 7 deadly sins side. If he were the one to kill Bond, I doubt that any of the 7 deadly sins would ever forgive him, and that includes Elizabeth, because that's just unforgivable. But throughout the whole series, the relationship that Bond and Meliodas share have been so stressed, as it's Bond's second most important relationship throughout the entire series. So to have Elaine, the problem with Elaine fixed, that only makes me wonder what's going to happen with Meliodas. So that's my 3rd theory. 4, since King has sprouted his wings and become a true fairy king to the Fairy King's forest, I am wondering if he's going to gain Gloxinia or Gloxina's powers and be able to use Drop of Life. Because if Bond does end up dying, that would definitely trigger Meliodas to maybe come back to the sins, but maybe it won't be permanent, in that King will be able to use maybe Sunflower or another configuration, because I believe that we do not know what configuration number 9 or 10 looks like. So if he uses a configuration and some flower evolves into Drop of Life, because if you remember Gloxinia's, it's like a flower and then a drop like comes from the pollen stem. If that forms into it, that'd be really interesting, and I feel like that'd be such great character development for King as well. Even though some people are very tired of him gaining more and more power, I feel like that would make sense because it's an upgrade in his chastity fall, not just, oh hey, I'm powerful for no reason. It's him growing as a true fairy king and showing signs of his past and his ancestors as well. And it would fix the problem with Bon, it'd fix the problem with Meliodas, and I feel like that one in particular would just have the whole story move forward. So I'm really hoping that something like that happens, because that'd just make me so happy. Plus I really want to see what this new king can do rather than just fight. Does he have any more power that's not just the chastity foal turning into a huge spear and wrecking everything? So that's basically what I wanted to talk about this chapter. Please let me know in the poll what you guys think of Bon becoming mortal again, and what you think is going to happen in the future down in the comment section below. This is insane, so please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!